Right, thinking now about post-inspection reflection, even with the best preparation, many providers reflect afterwards, don't they? Is it common for providers to have said, I wish I'd said that, moments after inspection?
Or actually still during the inspection as well. So, and of course, we're all human, aren't we? And I think one of the things that we do as well as inspectors that, you know, we're very reflective too. And we always walk away from an inspection and thinking, you know, what else could I have done differently? Could I, you know, how well did that go? But it's something, if there's something you wish you would have said, you know, tell the inspector. That's really important, that while the inspector's there, that you do have those conversations, and don't feel worried that if at the beginning of the inspection you've been talking about a particular child, for example, or you've been discussing particular curriculum, you know, those things that you want children to know and be able to do, and then you think later, oh, I wish I'd said, then, you know, say to the inspector.
And I think at the beginning of the inspection, we sort of just reconfirm what we've discussed on the planning call as well, and say, you know, at the planning call you told us this, are you still happy for us to look at that? Have you had any reflections since then? So just to try and appease. But like Wendy said, just all throughout, we have lots of discussions with the childminder.
And it's very much that collaborative approach.
And what practical steps can childminders take after the inspector leaves if they feel that something was missed?
I think one of the things that we do have is that if a childminder has a concern or a worry following the inspection, then they would have been given what we call a provider contact helpline, a telephone number during the notification process. And if there is something that they've got a worry about after an inspection, that they can use that telephone number and speak to a senior manager within Ofsted.
How can post-inspection reflections support future inspections or professional development?
Jill,
well, I think we'll want to know. We want to know from childminders what they think their strengths are and what their priorities for improvement, and that will help them work towards improving the quality of what they offer for children. But also, I think it's reflective. It's important for us all to reflect. We encourage childminders to complete a post-inspection survey, so they can give us feedback then about, you know, how they went, if there's things that they perhaps would have liked to have done differently or things like that. And we all regularly reflect on all of the findings from our surveys and all of the telephone calls, like as Wendy was talking about, the provider complaints helpline. So we reflect on all of that and see if there's anything we need to do differently or anything we can learn from that.
Lovely. So when is it too late or not too late to offer additional information for a childminder to offer some more?
So I think what's really important is inspectors will be working collaboratively with childminders throughout that process, from the very start right till they give that final feedback at the end. So we'll be wanting to work with childminders to gather the evidence of what it's typically like to be a child, and then we'll check if there is anything else the childminder wants to tell us before we, you know, give that final feedback.
And thinking about things that always crop up, are there any common themes that crop up that many providers realise afterwards that they can avoid doing that? Is there anything that kind of that always providers forget to talk to inspectors about, or is it kind of quite a mixed bag, really?
Yeah, it's quite a mixed bag. Like I say, we do regular sort of reviews, so we are putting together any patterns or trends, but at the moment, I suppose it is still quite early days, but at the moment, no, it's quite a mixed bag, so there's not anything in particular. And as Wendy says, throughout the inspection, we are talking to the childminders about, is there anything else that, you know, you wanted to tell me that I haven't asked you, or anything like that. So we do hopefully encourage them to talk to us throughout.
Moments of freeze, won't you? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And we reiterate, this isn't a memory test.
It's not a memory
test. I think it's really
test.
important. Sometimes when we're asking questions, and you know, they might be just particularly, sometimes that comes around when we're talking about safeguarding or curriculum planning, or you know, what sort of why they're doing what they're doing for the children. Sometimes they can freeze in that moment, and that's fine. And we say that's fine. We'll come back to that. You know, let's just carry on with what we're talking
why,
about.
Why this, why now, why these children, why are you doing this particular
questions?
Yeah.
And sometimes childminders will say, "Oh, can I just refer to something?" Absolutely. You know, this isn't a memory test. So if they think, "Oh, I can't remember something, can I just have a quick look?" Absolutely. You get you know, that's what you'd want to do, isn't it? You'd want to go back and refer to these.
I think also it's not just, you know, you're saying it's not just a memory test, but providers and people find it so hard to talk about themselves in such a positive way and big themselves up, and they're very humble providers, aren't they, a lot of the time. So I think it's reminding yourself before you're in your spectrum, what are your USPs, what are your strengths, and knowing that for yourself before anybody else as well.
Yeah, and we're hoping that with the early years toolkit, that actually that can be used as a kind of self-improvement tool, you know, before and after inspection and in between inspections as well. So helping, you know, childminders to think about, where are my particular strengths?